Hello, everybody. Welcome to another council and core meeting. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So this meeting has a very narrow focus as opposed to some of the other meetings, maybe. Everybody's read the Discord. Everybody got the email. We all know what's up. There are several actions that we've had on our plate as a council for a number of months now that we have not been able to get consensus on or successfully action in any meaningful way. We started the conversation a couple of months ago, and then that conversation just stopped. I think we all, the minute we hit a roadblock, everyone kind of expects it to be someone else's responsibility to push it forward or to push it through, and we can't do that. We cannot function as a council. We cannot serve the ecosystem if that's the way things are going to be. So we come to this call with the goal of coming to some sort of resolution and decisions on these specific items, and we'll talk about what those items are. We'll just basically start with Tyler's proposal, I think, and use that as the starting point to discuss each of the things we need to change. But this is not sustainable. If every time we need to make a decision, I have to call a council call, this is not going to work. So that's something that needs to be solved, but let's solve what's right in front of us right now and what we came here to solve, and that is all the network parameters and changes. So I don't really have a lot of slides to show. This is the same housekeeping is the same as every call, so this will be recorded for the community to watch, so they know what we discussed. Who is on one side of or the other of any agreements or disagreements, who was active, who contributed, and the primary purpose is to inform the community. They vote for us with their Neo. They need to know what we're doing. And as always, if you're a council or core member who doesn't have access to the channel, please reach out with your username so you can be added. I know there was a couple of issues with people not getting the email this time. I did add everyone that didn't normally get the emails to my list, but for some reason it didn't. Some of them didn't automatically go on the distribution list. So Fernando, if you can apologize to Belaine for me. He was one of those people. I put him on the list, but then the initial email didn't go out to him for some reason. So that's been improved now, and if there's anyone else I'm missing, I'll do so in the future. Okay, so we need to leave this call with, this is what I think we need to leave with as a minimum. And if anyone thinks there should be other stuff on this, let's make a mental note of it, speak up and make a note of it now. We need to make decisions on what changes we're going to make. We need to have clarity on who is responsible for next steps. We need an action timeline, and we need to understand if there are any blockers that are outside of our control, right? If there's something we can't do, what is it? Because not only do we need to know so we can go and find out how to unblock those, the community needs to know if there's something that the council can't do, because they're probably expecting us to do it as well. Knowing the topics that we're going to discuss, does everybody agree with these goals, or would anybody add something to this? Yep, Tyler.
I just want to make a point right now, early on in the call, for anybody that's listening, because there's a lot of fall off as these go. For anybody listening to note who is actually here and showing up, because I question whether we have enough people, just like at Centerpoint, in the room to make this decision. I think at Centerpoint we did. Here, notably, I think nearly half of the voting power, actually over half of the voting power within this governing body is not active. And it is the same faces every single time that show up. And it's also those faces that are getting smacked around on social media by the community that is saying people aren't participating. The silent people are actually the problem here. It's not the people like the Romans and things like that that are raising concerns. It's the people that don't even show up. And those are a lot of the people that are throwing stones.
Yep.
And so far.
Another thing I want to bring up is maybe even through this inaction, we've lost people who aren't even in this meeting. There were active voices in previous center points and previous discussions that aren't here right now. And I don't want to particularly call out a team or any names in general, but if you look really hard, you can see that there's a premier DApp that isn't even in this meeting right now.
Okay. Let's move on. So these are the main parameters that were in the proposal that went up on the governance forum. There was no discussion on the forum. There was some discussion on the GitHub, on the Discord that hit a wall and stopped dead. There was only 2 groups that voted. I guess we can count COZ as well. So let's call it 3 because Tyler put the proposal forth. So, you know, we all know that's not good enough, right? So we've got the execution fee factor, the gas per block, the milliseconds per block, the max transactions per block, and the max valid until block. There is also the topic of the whitelisting, which we can discuss maybe as well after this. But I thought we should start here. So I just pulled this out of the proposal. We've got the current settings up there now. I wasn't sure what the max valid until block number was, but it's 24 hours. It comes out 24 hours, whatever it is. And then what the proposal was in the proposed change was in Tyler's proposal. I've also included under there, according to the proposal, who actually needs to action those things to change it, right? So there's 2 of them there that require the consensus nodes to make I guess a configuration change. And it's not something that I understand the council actively votes on. So maybe Tyler, I will throw to you, and since this was your proposal, you can maybe start with some of the rationale for the numbers, and then we can invite agreement or dissent based on that and start working our way to a decision or some decisions. You're on mute, mate.
Sure. So I'll start with the controversial one, which is the execution fee factor. From a historical perspective, we used to have 10 free gas in the ecosystem. There was congestion. I think a lot of people in this call were around for that, experience it and deal with that pain. That's one of the reasons we changed some of the architecture and the handling of this in Neo N3s. The numbers are primarily based on the DEX fees. At the time, it was referencing Flamingo, swaps, and comparing that against other ecosystems that I think we should be competing against on fees. But by and large, like we have an issue with usage, right? And we need to figure out, or we need to start treating this organization like it's a startup instead of a large company where a minor change could break everything. We need to be willing to break things because right now we have nobody on the platform. So we need to make these aggressive decisions in order to acquire users, and then we can start worrying about, right? If we end up with too many transactions, that's a good problem for us to have, even if they're flood transactions. We need usage because right now we're slowly dying. The number on execution fee factor, I said it arbitrarily low, 1% of the current fee, because right now we're a very expensive platform. We've always been very expensive. Now, compared to a lot of these other newer kind of ecosystem projects, the blockchain ecosystem projects, we are immensely more expensive. So this isn't really 1% would put us in a competitive mode with some of these other top kind of industry leaders. But even 10% is okay. The point is that we need some order of magnitude change. We can't say we're going to reduce block system fees by 75% or or to 75% of what we have right now. It needs to be substantial for us to compete. If we don't make it substantial, it's all like lip service to the community to say that we made progress. Like if we want to actually change the ecosystem fundamentally and potentially attract and compete, we need to change it drastically. That's the thesis on this. I did an analysis. You can look at the report. It's based on some limited field data, and it's based on Flamingo, who I think everybody here is probably aware of what's going on there. So that's where the came from. And the justification for it. I'd like to hear some thoughts on it.
Yep, Anna.
Well, let me summarize the Neo SPCC position about it. It's still the same. We are worried about security and low execution fee factor, even the value that we have right now, it's also low. It will make it possible to just to load consensus nodes with some transactions which will be processed very, yeah. Yes, Tyler.
This is me addressing Roman through you. So if it sounds overly critical, it's not directed towards you, it's directed towards the general position that Roman presented. From a security perspective, if the entire ecosystem ceases to exist, that seems like a pretty, I suppose that's like a greatest, like most secure solution possible. But that's kind of the direction we're looking at going right now. Actually, that is the direction we're going. Like, we need to start looking at the existential issue with not improving these and taking risks.
Well, the case is right now we have an alternative to this proposal. For the past several months, we've been working on the dynamic prices for VM codes, and right now the state of development is we have a model, and we have it implemented and tested. It's implemented in NeoGo, and right now it is ported to the C# node. I think the PR. Yeah, let me finish, please. The PR to the C# node will be ready. I think will be created this week, and here's the link to the NeoGo implementation. And we actually plan to include these new opcode prices to the upcoming Gorgon hard fork. The exact Gorgon activation is not, the exact block of Gorgon activation is not scheduled now, but it's the next hard fork we have in the network. So these changes require a hard fork. And also regarding some numbers, we have a table with the results. Like we benchmarked every VM opcode, and the new scheme of opcode prices makes like a standard. We tried different transactions from mainnet, and for example, transaction from Flamingo that performs some exchange of tokens, like this one. Just as an example, it becomes almost 100 times cheaper with the new prices. But there is a pitfall that we did not change the price of Cisco opcode. It's the only opcode that has the same price as before, because it requires reevaluation of all prices of native contract calls. So this part is the next step for this work. But the rest of opcodes, they already, like the prices for them already ready. So it's just an update from our side for this problem. And I think if we merge it before Gorgon, then, well, we will have improved prices. And it's really, this model is really makes things cheaper. Like,
I just want to raise an observation over the past like 9 years in this ecosystem that as a body, one of the problems we have with decision making is what feels like ADHD. We never. I'm a huge proponent of the dynamic fees. I think that's a marketable feature. It's a differentiator. It's incredibly valuable. It is a really robust solution for this. But when is the thing, because the same thing is with like the 3-second block time. Like we implement the stuff, but then it never actually gets integrated. And then we always move on to the next thing before actually closing out the topic. And the execution fee factor is an issue like right now. So I don't think the ecosystem personally is going to be cool with like what could be, I mean, how long ago was the report generated for like 3-second block time, for example? Like we need to fix the fee factor situation right now. And I'm not, I don't view them as being conflicting necessarily. It's just one is like an immediate fix. We can make the change like today or tomorrow. And the dynamic block time, we're basically restarting this entire process we're having right now once it actually gets implemented in both Go and C#. So like the 1% number, I get if there are security issues there, but identifying a number where we can actually move in a direction of competing, I think would be very valuable. Like where everybody is in agreement on it. We have this issue where we talk about a concept, and this is going on right now with like the divisible Neo. Like we'll go in, we'll talk about it, we'll start working on it. It'll get almost entirely implemented, and then there'll be another idea which is even better and it improves it, and then we'll do refactoring on that idea, right? And then we'll start talking about that for a little while, and then we'll do it again with another proposal. Like we need to baseline what the approaches are, and then execute on them in parallel to working on larger improvements.
Tyler, but maybe I understand you, but maybe in this case, we can have both options, because we can whitelist the contract that are more used, like Flamingo, because in this list it doesn't appear the whitelist. So probably we can bypass the execution fee factor using the whitelist during the dynamic opcode development, so we can have cheaper execution in the most used contract and have also the dynamic opcode pricing. So in this specific case, I think we can have both options with using the whitelist.
So the whitelist is actually a great example of this, because the execution fee factor is something we could have implemented at Centerpoint. Like we could have voted on it in the room and deployed it. But then we also added the whitelisting approach as a secondary, better solution to the execution fee factor change. And then we waited, right? And we started talking about the execution for the whitelisting as another solution. Like this is actually a really good example of what I'm talking about. I'm a proponent of the whitelisting. I think we can implement that also. They're not the topics. So I really, from a decision-making standpoint, as a governing body, I feel like we need to really, really narrow the scope down and introduce a lot of security to prevent like lack of actions that come out of this discussion. I guess that's my concern, because it's something I've observed us doing. On the whitelisting, before I tangent on that, I have an issue with this also, so it's not.
Well, I mean, does any? It sounds like we have a couple of. Is the thing that Neo SPCC is proposing? Let's just take time out of the equation for a second, because I want to ask a question about how we get there. Is that fundamentally better and safer than reducing the execution fee factor, like in a vacuum?
Yes, because it makes because for simple, not for simple, but for honest transactions, for non-malicious transactions that do not misuse VM, it's cheap to execute something. But for those transactions that try to perform some VM loading for nothing, for free, it's not free. It will be very cheap, because the prices depends on the size of data.
Okay.
Well, actually, the answer to the question is yes. It's more safer. In general, the solution is much more safe than reducing execution fee factor.
Okay. So next question, and this is to get me to my point, or to the options I want to present. How far away is that from actually being ready, like in Neo time, for going to mainnet?
We plan, if core devs agree, then we plan to include this to Gorgon hard fork. Gorgon is the next. Sorry.
Is it like, right? Because we do these releases, and sometimes it's next week, but it ends up taking us 3 months. Like in Neo time, how long do you estimate? And no one's holding you to this. We're just guessing right now for this thought exercise. How long would it take us to get this onto mainnet?
Well, I think we need to. Well, maybe Fernando, do you know what is the plan for Gorgon? For our feature, to merge this feature, I think we need something from 2 to 3 weeks to review and merge it to the C# node. Something like that. I think 2 or 3 weeks.
All right. So we say 2 or 3.
The model itself is ready, and the coefficients, they are already there, and they work.
So a couple of weeks to get into the node, then the rest of the things going into the release need to be finalized as well, right? Because it's not going to be anything. So that's probably going to be an extra couple of weeks. So I would guess conservatively, we're saying.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I don't know what is the scheduler for Gorgon hard fork. It's just from 2 to 3 weeks to merge the sizes, but after that we need to release Gorgon, and yeah.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying, right? So it's 2 to 3 weeks to finish that. Then the rest of the release would need to be finished. Whatever else is going on to that release as well, etc. So we could say, conservatively, it'd be 2 months, right? So if we're trying to solve this problem now, like this, the way I'm looking at it is we've got a couple of options on the table. Right? If we agree that this fix is the long-term solution, but we need to not drown now, we could do a couple of things. We could reduce the execution fee factor to whatever we decide we're comfortable with and accept the risk, right? Maybe it's 1%, 0.01, or maybe it's 0.2, or I don't know, whatever that number we come up with, we could do that and say this is a temporary fix, so we can unlock something until that goes live. That's one option. The other option is we can say, all right, we're not comfortable with reducing that fee factor down to any level, or we can't get consensus here in the council. So we're going to use the whitelisting and we're going to whitelist the most important contracts or the most impactful contracts on Neo for a set period of time until the Gorgon hard fork goes out, and we use that to bridge the gap. Because and maybe there's a third option too, because I think that the option of doing nothing until we get there is, to Tyler's point, is we're just kicking the can down the road further and further and further, and we need to get something done today. We need to come up with a plan today, right? We need to lower the fees today, one way or another. So they're the three options as I see them. And I want to see what you guys think of that. I also just want to note, just because he slipped in silently, Eric is on the call. He did join. I forgot to do a roll call, so maybe I'll do it at the end when we all vote. But just to let you know, he's listening in, so he's here as well. But Tyler, you got your hand raised.
Yeah, I just wanted to raise another point about this, which is why we're kind of in this situation to begin with. Ideally, we would pre-agree on the features as a council to say, like, these are the features, like, we all want this. If it gets implemented, it will get voted on, and these would be the parameters that will get tuned to, like, before they're implemented, because that's kind of the issue that we're running into, right? Like, the execution fee factor showed up, or potentially the dynamic fees. That's another great example of this. The dynamic fees get implemented, but then one person or a small group of people at the council level did not agree on that or want it. And then it creates a stalling situation when we actually try to go in to deploy it. This is something that we see over and over and over again. Like, the governance decisions and the feature implementation are not in lockstep. So the milliseconds for block time is another example of this, right? Where, like, we thought we had agreement at the council level, and it was implemented, but then, like, there's some divergence on requirements, and it causes some problems. I'm a little concerned that that's going to happen here with dynamic block time, where, like, dynamic block time gets implemented, this limited set of council members agree with it, but it's not enough to actually pass the vote, and then there's, like, the 2 votes that are remaining that don't agree with it, and it undermines the integrity of the work. So I'm a little concerned about the development before the buy-in, but generally, like, I agree with Dean's approach in the proposals. What that number is needs to be discussed, though. Anna, did NSPCC have any ideas of what a reasonable number would be for this?
For execution fee factor? Well, as I already mentioned, as a council member, we will explicitly vote against of execution fee factor lowering. So
any change whatsoever?
Higher than right now, because we were against when it was lowered the last time.
Okay.
So it's our position. Yeah.
Can I ask? So I want to, of the 3 options that we've just thrown out there. 1, reducing execution fee factor to some number until the Neo SPCC solution comes in. 2, we just whitelist all the most impactful contracts until that, and we just say, this is for this set period of time, we will reevaluate after Gorgon, and then that's an approach. Or just waiting until Gorgon and doing nothing. Can I just get in the chat, anyone now who has no preference or no opinion? So if you don't know, I can't decide, I have no idea, I have no opinion. Anyone who feels that way, can you just drop that in the chat now? Because at least that way we can then know who does have an opinion, and I can call on you to give us your voice.
Dean,
Mm-hmm.
I have a question about this, which maybe because I got late here in the meeting, I was in another meeting. And regarding these parameters, I don't know if we have discussed it already, or we have a way for the nodes to propose such changes on chain. So because if people just propose, you are running a node, then or you are a console member, you just change the parameter on chain, and it just gets effectively on when you get the threshold. I don't see. Maybe the challenge is to put this parameter as some dynamic way of changing it. Maybe this is a problem. It should not be hard coded. I mean, but I don't see how why we should discuss this thing like.
Well, the problem
here.
is, so I want to make sure we don't go on a tangent down here to discuss like how we change the process, because that's not the topic for discussion today. I don't want to get dragged on that. But like the problem is, we do a proposal, everyone's got to sign it, right? We don't have a good workflow for that other than sharing an Excel spreadsheet, which is garbage, right? We need some sort of like application or something. I think Jimmy may have been working on one, to be honest, in his new Explorer, where we can actually put something out there and allow people to just sign it easily without having to make sure we do it in the exact sequence and pass the payload around and all that kind of stuff. It's ridiculous. But I think working out how to improve that process is a whole other hour-plus long topic. The question we're asking right now is on this execution fee factor specifically, does anybody have no preference? And just drop in the chat. It's okay if you don't know. If you like, I really don't know what the best path is. That's fine. I'd rather you say that than not. So I'll just give it 20 seconds.
And let me add a note while everyone's thinking. The problem with whitelisted contracts is that we cannot just whitelist some contracts. We need them to be audited by Red4Sec, I presume, or by someone else. So the audit of contracts usually also takes some time. And I don't know what is faster, to wait for Gorgon or to audit the Flamingo contracts, because the contracts are really large and complicated. So we definitely need to be sure that there is no infinite cycles inside these contracts that will spend gas for until it's
Yeah, in my personal. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to add. Fernando, go ahead.
No, just I want to say that in my personal view, and Jaime, we talk about it, and we think that only contracts that has been checked and has optimized, because some contracts are not gas optimized, so they need to do some changes before be whitelisted. As Anna said, it will be free, but it will be executed. So if it spends a lot of time, it must be optimized.
The other concern here, so I'm going to use Flamingo as an example. Flamingo, I'm pretty sure, supports contract upgrades. Right. So we're talking about something where we're either locking or preventing the contract from being upgradable when they're in this whitelisting mode. And then, having them re-audited if they need to make a change. Because a lot of one of the really, in my opinion, valuable features on Neo N3 is the ability to upgrade contracts. But that introduces some issues when you start talking about free or subsidized execution in those contract environments. So there's a little bit more on the systemic side, what could happen when we whitelist a contract and then somebody goes in and updates the contract to change it. The free is concerning, but I think it's worth for me, it's worth pushing it forward and doing this. I do echo Anna's concern about the auditing timeline and identifying which contracts. How do we do that? What is the process for this? As Jaime mentioned, it's more work than a vote.
Shargon, what you mentioned with the contracts there, what is the risk a security risk or is it an optimization risk? Like, you know, we know Flamingo are not bad actors, right? So like, it's not like they're trying to, you know, they're going to do something, but there may be a flaw in the contract. If we make it free, is the risk that it will affect the security of the network, allow them to grind it to a halt or something, or is it something else?
But the problem here is here maybe an optimization risk becomes in a security risk because as you said, Flamingo is not a bad actor, but maybe they have a big for each that when it becomes cheaper or free, people can deny the network.
I see.
Whitelist, in fact, whitelist was developed for specific methods, not for the whole contract, because it's hard to say that the whole contract will work in a safe way when it's so big like Flamingo.
So when we said that we need to choose the specific methods we want to make free from a contract, not the whole contract itself.
For me, I think that the best way is or dynamic of code pricing or execution fee factor. But if we want to use the whitelist only during this month or a specific time until we have the dynamic of code pricing, so we work, because if we have any trouble, we can remove the whitelist. So
right. Well, that was actually going to be my next question to you: is do you what of the two options, execution fee factor and the contract whitelisting, in your professional opinion, what do you consider to be of a lower risk to the network? But it sounds like you've just answered that with the contract whitelisting, because if it became a problem, we could roll it back. I mean, we could roll up the execution fee factor as well, I suppose, but. Is that your stance? You think the whitelisting is less risky than the fee factor?
I think it's less risky, the whitelist. Because execution fee factor should work well, but there are a lot of a lack of unit tests in Neo in a lot of places. So maybe we left someone, and execution fee is only in one place and it will work well.
Okay. All right. So the only people that said they didn't really have a stance on this one was Dylan. I guess I do, so I can speak for NNT. James said he didn't have a stance. He's COZ, but I'm sure Tyler's got a stance. And Dora is open to adjustments. Does have a note on the block time, but we will get to that. We'll talk about the block time more. So I'll come back to that note. All right. Let's see. So that means everybody else has an opinion. I'm going to roll down the list of council members. I've got a list here. So we have option 1. We're going to say the execution fee factor, reducing that. Option 2, until the Gorgon hard fork. Option 2 is whitelisting specific contracts. There is another conversation there regarding which contracts as well. So, you know, this is even when we do that, we still got to decide on that. But that's option 2. And option 3 is do nothing until Gorgon, right? I'm going to go down the list of council members. I'm going to call out the groups. And if you haven't specifically said you don't have an opinion, unmute and let us know which of those 3 options you prefer. Is everybody cool with that? Sweet. All right. So number 1 is Neo Foundation. Eric, if you can just drop in the chat which one you prefer of those 3 options. And while I'm waiting for that, we'll move down to Neo SPCC. So Anna, Which of those three?
Option 3.
Do nothing until that. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, the Neo order. That's Eric. Yeah, Eric, if you just let us know your opinion in the chat. You don't have to unmute if you don't want. Red for sec. Fernando.
Same as Anna.
So we've got 2 from NGD here, but I don't think we have an NGD representative on the call. Okay. So Jimmy R3E, he's put in the chat here execution fee factor.
Yep, the first one.
Yep, NGD6. Alibaba 1, 2, or 3.
Be the same as Jimmy, I think.
Yep, execution fee factor. Tyler, COZ.
Execution fee factor temporarily.
Yeah. I think my call is execution fee factor, and my reasoning is purely because if we go the contract route, we have to then do all the work to decide which contracts, which methods that's generating more work.
This is my concern as well.
Yeah. The hash key, Dora, your hash key, right? Sorry, I forget the names of some people. You said no preference. Switchio is not here. Well, Alibaba, you've got 2 votes because you got B Neo. So put you down for a second one on execution fee factor. So I got from Eric here, agree with the modifications to gas per block and milliseconds, but abstaining from the other 2. Axe Labs, Gil?
Option 1.
Option 1. Flamingo, I'm pretty sure they're option 1, right? They're
not here.
Yeah, they're not here, but they posted in the channel earlier. I'm just trying to go back and find it.
To be, I know they're not here, but my interpretation and speaking with Odd and Adrian is that they are option any for these, since they also were the endorsers of the whitelisting. It's
Okay.
center point, but formally.
Yeah, okay. We'll put them down as option A. Mercury Great Again is not here. Infstones, we have Infstones here.
Option 1.
Option 1. Everstake, Maria.
The third one.
Third one. Binance Staking is not here. And Neoline, I think we had Emily. Emily, you're from Neoline, right?
Option 3.
Option 3. Okay. So let's take a look at what this looks like. Sorry, I'm just doing this up on a sheet. A little messy.
Hello, Dean.
Hey, mate.
HTTP Cloud Operation 3.
Sorry, say it again, mate.
Operation 3.
For
HTTP Cloud.
Yep, got you down. Yep, I saw it in the.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Let me share this and then present something else. All right, this is what it looks like, guys. I want to make 2 points. In the consensus nodes, we've only got 3 out of 4 votes for anything. So that's not a good look. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for option 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for option 3. We don't have enough votes to
I'm
execute.
sorry, Dean, but Neo SPCC also votes for option 3.
Oh, sorry. You're right, I missed that one. My bad. Did I miss? Check me on the rest. Did I miss any others? I don't think I did. Yeah. So look, the unfortunate truth here is that even with this vote, we don't have enough to execute. Either way, we need what, a minimum of 11. Tyler?
Well,
But in a specific, in our case, in Rest4Sec, we vote for option 3, but this does not mean that we are against of the majority of the votes.
Well, that's a fair point. Would anybody want to change their vote so we get something approved? Sorry.
I think there are 2 NGD nodes, so I guess they don't have any opinions. They can be counted in any one of them, I guess. I just assume
what
they
it's
don't
worth.
have any opinions.
I don't think any of the Neo nodes are voting right now.
We can ask them to vote, I
On
guess.
this.
And I think also for me, I think my opinion is that it's more similar to Shargon. For me, I think my real opinion is that I don't want to deny the option 1, but I still keep to be conservative to this topic. So if there are enough rules people they want option 1, I don't want to delay them. But if there are still most council members they want to keep, we don't do anything. I think it's not bad choice. I think.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but you're already with option 1, right? So
so in this case, maybe if it's possible, I want to adjust my vote to option 3.
So we're going the other way now to option 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we go, so option 3 is essentially do nothing, right?
Yeah. I understand. Yes.
Okay, so if we move BNEO and lazy node to option 3, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for option 3. And I mean, there is nothing to action with option 3 except wait for Gorgon in this instance, right? So I don't, even if we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So even if we'll switchio 1, 2, 3, what did I say, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so even if we got the others, we still wouldn't be able to go through with option 1. So it seems here that the council vote for this is to wait until the NSPCC solution comes through.
And then restart this process. To
Jimmy?
try to get everybody to agree and vote on it.
Jimmy?
I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I just want to celebrate this very first public voting for the council, for the community. Yeah.
Well, it's an outcome.
Yeah, it's it's a great achievement.
I mean, I understand what you're saying. I'm a little bit. It feels like the vote was to do nothing, but we did something to choose to do nothing, I guess. Gil, you got your hand up.
I think I would just accept the outcome of the voting here, of course. But I just want to say that if Xlabs was a bit reluctant to vote on option 1 as it is proposed right now in the execution fee, but I think we'd be more comfortable, for example, on putting the fee factor parameter to 0.6, for example, which is a 40% reduction in smaller steps. But we voted option 1 here because we want to do something, we want to do something instead of not doing anything. So if I don't want to change anyone's mind here, I'll accept the outcome of the voting here, the option 3. But if anyone that has option 3 would be more comfortable on going to option 1, but having a smaller step into changing this parameter, you know, it's now or never to express yourself.
Yeah, I guess it's a fair point. You can just use the emoji and a thumbs up for a moment. Is there anyone who voted option 3? Let's say half, right? A half reduction instead of go from 1 to 0.5 instead of 1 to 0.01. Is there anyone who voted for option 3 who would be more comfortable for option 1 under that? So we could deliver some reduction, some fee relief, or do you still want to go option 3? Just hit the thumbs up emoji if you think you would be interested in that. I'll give you all 15 seconds.
But maybe we have to do 2 votes because we are mixing gas per block and millisecond per block with execution fee that are completely different things.
We're only talking about execution fee factor right now. I said in the message email I sent out for all this that like be prepared to go beyond an hour because we need to discuss these properly. Otherwise, this is going to drag on for another 3 months. So we're only discussing the first topic right now. All right, there was no interest there. So everyone still wants to go with option 3. All right, so the decision on that one is
we are also good with option 1, but when dynamic opcodes, we can revert the execution fee to the default one. So reforced vote can be 1 and 3.
Right. Well, that would be the plan to have it temporarily. That's the proposal, to have it aggressively low temporarily until the Gorgon hard fork. But even with a red for sec choosing option 1 as well. Oh, I can draw on this. Even with red for sec choosing option 1, we still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We need another 4 to switch across. And we're not going to doesn't sound like there's any interest in another 4 votes here.
I can also join the switch in this case.
All right, we can get to we have a stake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Did I count wrong before? I said 8. So we need another 3 votes now.
Alibaba also made a change.
Alibaba, would you switch back to option 1?
Lazy node.
Yeah, lazy node and BNeo.
No, I'm not going to change my vote to option 1, but I mean, I'm not going to deny option 1 if there are enough votes. If there are already enough votes, maybe 10 or 9 or maybe 11. But myself, I think my real opinion is that I'm so conservative on this topic, mostly due to the security risks.
Yeah. Look, and guys, I don't want anybody to give up on anything they believe is right, just to go with the crowd. You got to stand behind what you believe, right? So I'm totally cool with people taking a hard stance on that. But so,
and I would say I'll just complete it in here. Like my idea was just, I mean, I'll accept. Of course, I'll totally accept like the vote 3, and we have to move on. I think I would prefer to move on than like say, I'll you know, it's fine. It was just an idea, so I think that's we have to establish that we don't have to change anything, and let's move on.
Okay, I'll just give it one last call. Alibaba said he can move 2 votes to number 1 if it'll get us there. That would still leave us 1 vote short. So anyone, you've got 5 seconds. All right, we're moving on. Okay, let me bring the sheet back up. Give me 1 sec.
So just to clarify for anybody listening, we are not making a change. We'll drop this and we'll wait for Gorgon.
That's right.
Right.
Okay.
Just
so
sorry to interrupt. From our side, we will try to we are concentrating on this change particularly to finish dynamic opcodes, and we will try to deliver it as soon as possible.
Yep. Okay. All right, let's move on to gas per block and milliseconds per block, because they are very closely related. I mean, the rest of them are all
They're all linked.
they're all related, so we could probably talk about these together. Again, I'll throw to you, Tyler. Seems you did the proposal, and you can talk on why they're related and why these proposals were put forth.
Yeah, so all four of these are complicated because we need a council vote and consensus node code deployment or settings deployment in order to implement, and they focus around the 3-second block time. They kind of stem from that. So I think maybe we should start on the 3-second block time topic. That's, I think, the origin of all these changes. And if we can't get agreement that 3-second block time is a priority, we're wasting our time on the other things, because they're actually they're codependent. Do you want to use the same process on that?
Yeah. So maybe we can just quickly explain how they're all related for people watching. Right.
Sure. So, Anna?
I would suggest to vote on gas per block and milliseconds per block separately. Like gas per block and milliseconds per block is one couple, and another couple is max transactions per block and max valid until block increment, because, well, we can actually decrease the milliseconds per block and keep gas per block aligned. But another two, these are quite a separate topic, which, well, we think that these two should be kept unchanged.
So
I can explain it later if you'd like to, but, well.
So I think we can vote. I think we can vote on all of them independently and discuss tuning of them independently. The reasoning for even touching the gas per block, max transactions per block, and max valid until block is because of the 3-second block time change. So I feel like if we're not all aligned, that if we can't agree that 3-second block time is something we should do, then the other ones are much less important. Getting agreement on that is the important thing. So first, and then we can vote on all the other ones next.
Yeah, but
So maybe I can explain the reasoning why the other ones are implicated.
I think it'd be good for people watching so they understand the conversation.
Yeah, so
for example, max valid until block was scaled to 1 week instead of 24 hours, so it's different.
It is, but when you move to 3-second block time, the number of blocks, that timeline is going to condense again, and we already have issues right now, and that's the intent. That's why that proposal has changed. So maybe I can introduce how these fit together, and then we can discuss them individually as well as whether they're even relevant anymore. So 3-second block time is the proposal. That's tunable. So if 3 seconds isn't the target, that's fine. We can go and discuss something else. 3 seconds is the current proposal though there. Gas per block, in order to maintain the current gas generation, that setting also needs to be tuned. You'll note Dean's highlighted whether these are council changes or they specifically have to be consensus node modifications. There's a council vote associated with these as well. So just for some of them, so just be aware of that. Max transactions per block also needs to scale, right? In order to align to the faster block time, right? The block period is shorter, condensed. We need to scale the transactions per block to fit into the blocks reasonably. Then max valid until block is primarily that's a governance concern, because right now, as Dean mentioned, the voting process is very problematic from a governance perspective. We should be moving in a direction to make it easier to engage on these proposals by reducing the time. If we change from 3-second block time to only a couple hours, it'll be an issue. That's the reasoning for that to be grouped with the other ones.
Yeah, so you in that one, to be clear, we need to change it anyway, because with blocks that are 5 times faster, that window for voting would be 5 times smaller. But you've also proposed to extend it to 1 week if we're going to change it anyway. So we've got more time to round robin that we have to do across time.
So even right now, this is a big problem. In the current settings, it is a governance issue. It is very difficult on a global scale to get everybody in the same place to vote to actually improve the ecosystem. It's difficult. Everybody's on a different social platform. Everybody has different availabilities. There are major time zone considerations. There are outages. It's a very difficult orchestration process.
Tyler, but you can collect the signatures for a transaction that is billed for the next month, and release this transaction when you have all the signatures and when you are in the specific day for this transaction. So I don't see the sense of change this. You can have 1 week for collect the signatures because you bill the transaction for the next week. So you are signing a transaction for the next week.
There. I would like somebody else to relay transactions for these votes. So because I'm tired of doing the chasing. Right. So that's another topic here that showed up in the last vote as well. And Dean highlighted this. Like, there are 21 council members. There are 21 people that are able to go and do the orchestration to facilitate this. It's not we need to actually be participating in proactive governance instead of delegating it to the 2 or 3 people that are doing a lot of the legwork on this.
Can I just ask, Shargon? I guess I had a different understanding of how this worked, and it just maybe gaps in my knowledge. I thought when we created a proposal to change a network parameter, there was a block number associated, or a time, I guess a block number, not a timestamp associated with that proposal. And then that was only valid for a certain amount of blocks after that. So that's why we had this big rush to get all the signatures.
Yeah, but you can use a future number in this. So you use the next week block number. You have a 1 week for this.
Sounds like something Jimmy could vibe code for us, right? A tool for this.
Yeah, ideally, it would be in a tool, because that's the issue that we're running into right now. Is they're simply, so to my previous point, there are not very many people in the council that can facilitate this process.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big UX issue, right? So if we can change the block time, or we can have tools and utilities that make this straightforward, so the 2 or 3 people don't have to go around and run tutorials and support and set everything up for everybody, it would make things a lot better.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, does anybody? So Dora actually had a comment regarding the 3-second block times. You can read it in the chat here. She's concerned that 3 seconds is too aggressive. The data shows that network latency between Asian and European nodes is already 200, 300 milliseconds. With any network jitter, 3 seconds could increase the risk of micro forking. I recommend a safer range of 5 to 6 milliseconds, 5,000 to 6,000 to ensure network stability. sounds like maybe like a Neo research might have thoughts on this. I don't know. Sorry, I don't mean to throw you to the front, but does anybody have any comments or thoughts on this? Anyone done any testing or observed similar things? Anna, I think you guys deal with this sort of thing a lot too.
The 3 seconds block consensus was thoroughly tested by NGD by Superboy on private night with the nodes distributed evenly in the world, and also tested on the test net with pressure tests, with various tests like continuously sending transactions to the test net, and it runs even more stable than the current 15 seconds consensus time because it processes transactions faster. Yep. So it's pretty stable.
And also, I can add that right now, Neo Fast Network runs dynamic block time with the block time from 200 milliseconds to 1 second, and it's on mainnet and on testnet. And even if it's like 1 second blocks, it works good. And you know that Neo Fast Network is also distributed we have nodes in Europe, and we also have nodes in America. So I can confirm that even with 1 second blocks, the consensus runs fine. So in general, we will vote for 3 second blocks and for gas per block adjustment.
Okay. Does anybody have any other or disagreement towards those, or any other comment they want to make on the 3 second blocks before I throw it up for a vote?
Probably just a minor comment. We can't vote for milliseconds per block decreasing without corresponding gas per block adjustment. These two issues,
together. So Tyler, can you explain the consensus node component of this before we vote? Because that's important.
There's a manual configuration file. There's
So
a
we
file that
know-
needs to be configured.
And do we need all 7 consensus nodes to make this change, or just the majority?
It depends on if we want an efficient network. Ideally, all 7 consensus nodes would run this. We need a majority. We need to have enough nodes to reach consensus to commit blocks.
So for this vote, we need majority from the council, but we need across the board, we need unanimous across the consensus nodes.
It's if we only get enough, we're going to have view change issues. So that's a consideration. It's going to be a painful thing, I think, without complete coordination.
Yeah. So in reality, what should happen is if the council votes for it, the consensus nodes should adopt it because that's what the council voted for. We've made the change. But if all 7 consensus nodes do not make this configuration change, it is going to lead to issues with the network. That's the scenario.
And ideally, it's going to be orchestrated to happen at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, there may be somebody more informed than I am in this as well. So I want to open that up.
Not only the consensus node must change their settings, because if any consensus node was moved and a committee was promoted to be a consensus node, they also have to have the right settings.
Yeah.
But guys, I just want to add that right now, milliseconds per block is a native policy contract setting. So once it's updated by the council members, it's updated in the native policy contract. So all the nodes will use this setting from policy contract. So we don't need to update the node setting. Instead, we just have to vote, create a voting transaction well, it's actually 2 voting transactions. Once one transaction decrease the milliseconds per block setting in policy contract, and another call, they should be packed into one transaction. Another call is to align gas per block generation. It's the call of native contract. So no configuration update is required for this.
So I misspoke on that.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, so we just
Awesome.
vote.
All right, let's go ahead and vote. Neo Foundation 1, Eric already said here in the chat that he's for this, I believe. Yep. Okay. So we're going to say 1 and 2 will say yes and no. All right. Nope. Nope. Too used to typing Neo. All right. So we're going to do a yes for Neo Foundation. Anna, I'm assuming you're a yes.
Yes.
Excuse me, what is this being voted for?
For gas per block and milliseconds per block, as per the proposal.
And all of them together, right?
No, just gas and milliseconds per block.
Just to clarify, this is just the gas per block to scale directly, right,
yeah,
with the block period, right? So the gas generation will still be the same over time.
Yep.
That's the okay.
So this is what we're voting for. 1. Yes. Basically. So it's exactly the same. So the milliseconds, so the blocks are 5 times faster, so the gas is reduced by 5. So it still is emitted at the same rate. Everybody clear? All right. Red for sec.
Yes.
NGD is not here. R3E. Jimmy.
Yes.
Alibaba.
Yes.
COZ.
Yep.
NNT. Dylan, you cool with it? Yes. Hashkey.
Yeah, sorry, I'm waiting for our research team's response. Maybe we'll pass. Yeah, we'll come back later.
Yep. No worries. Switchio's not here. Axe Labs.
Yes.
Flamingo, I'm pretty certain they're yes, right? I think they're yes. Make Me Great Again is not here. Impstones.
Yes.
Everstake.
4. Yes.
Binance is not here. Neoline.
Yes.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay. So we have voted to change both of these in favor.
Yes, and Hashkey Cloud, we also vote for yes.
Yes. All right. There we go. Everyone is here voted yes. Good job, guys. All right. So now we're done that. Who wants to put their hand up and be the one to create the proposal transaction to pass around?
I think Fernando already did, right?
Shargon, you put your hand up. Seems you know how to change the block starting time.
Yeah, we can try to use Jimmy's tool.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe we can. Hey, Jimmy, is that something we can do using your web app?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So, but we need to be clear. So, who is doing the next thing? We're going to use. We've just decided we're going to use Jimmy's app. Is it ready to go, Jimmy? Can we use it tomorrow?
Yeah, you could use it tomorrow. I'll be testing to the final test this night, and I'll make sure it works.
Okay.
Along with Shargon. I need your assistance, Shargon.
Okay, don't worry. I can help you in all that you need. But we can sting a transaction for the next week, for example. If we don't agree to change the max volatility block.
Ideally, so the other thing, consideration, ideally these would both be relayed in the same transaction. So just
yeah, it must be done in the same transaction.
I mean, with Jimmy's app, that's a feature that would ideally be supported.
Yeah. Okay. So these two that we've just voted on, shall we say? these two. So Jimmy and Shargon are going to work together to get that proposal up. As Shargon mentioned, we can have the block number anytime. Shall we say that we will get the signatures this week with the block number for next Monday? So we've got a whole week to sort that out, and we'll have all the signatures, and then it's ready to go next Monday with all of them. Is that enough time? Does anybody disagree with that timeline?
It's like a buffer. Do 2 weeks. I mean, it's been, I don't remember when the initial work on 3-second block time was. We have a year. Like, I just want to make sure that with 100% certainty, if we get all the signatures, it's going to be able to be relayed. So adding buffer to that seems like a good idea. But
why don't we say we're trying to get all the signatures by next Monday? And, if
but then we format the transaction for 2 weaks, I think would be a better, just a guarantee. Because there could be a defect, like a technical defect. There could be something. I really want to guarantee that it's going to happen without us starting over.
Yep. Okay, cool. So we're going to aim to get all the transactions by next Monday, so it can be relayed maybe the week after that. Yep. Cool. All right. Made progress, guys. I know it's a long call. Just a couple more things to agree on. Let me switch to my other screen again. All right, so we just need to make a decision on these two. These two being max transactions per block and max valid until block. So with the max transactions per block, do we want to reduce that down with a 5 times reduction, the same way we did with the gas per block? Is this a security thing? Is this just a housekeeping thing? We'd be lucky to have that many transactions per block at the moment anyway. So
just to rescope this, it sounds like that 5th one is not necessary for us to discuss on this call, right? It effectively goes away with the app and with Shargon's comment, right? And max transactions per block. My personal preference would be to temporarily reduce it and scale it down. And even though I know that's subject, there are differing opinions on this, we would scale it down uniformly or linearly with the other ones, but then evaluate increasing it over time, right? So we take a conservative approach and then increase it. I don't know if that's more appealing to some of the people on the team that want it to stay the same instead of reducing it. But
I guess for me, I don't know what the risk is or the benefits are of changing it one way or the other. Like, if we're not filling up the blocks, I don't understand what the I need someone to make the case to me either way.
I mean, functionally speaking, we can increase the block. We should be able to increase the max transactions per block that we currently have as well, right? Already. So it's kind of an arbitrarily, my understanding is that it's somewhat arbitrary right now.
Does anybody have strong opinions about this?
Dean, are you sure that the current value is 1,000? Because I thought that in mainnet right now it's like 512.
Oh, did I get it wrong?
I mean,
so
maybe
so I think maybe I had in my head that everything that Tyler proposed was a 5 times reduction. So maybe that's where that came from.
Well, but anyway, okay. I think that we would vote to keep it like the same as it is right now, because we don't see like any profit from reducing it, and we also don't see any there can't be any like disadvantages in keeping it the same way as it is right now, because consensus is able to handle this amount of transactions. we did benchmarks, we did like a lot of testing with even smaller block times, and like even 1,000 transactions per block is pretty much affordable and pretty is handled by DBFT is pretty well. So that's just opinion from our side.
Okay.
I can explain more about this. As a previous said, we also carried out pressure test, stress test upon the testnet of the C# node. So C# node are also able to handle like 512 transactions per block, even under 3 seconds transaction time. So this will completely about the numbers. It's not about the performance or security considerations. You don't have to worry about that at all.
Okay. So it sounds like the preference is just to leave it as is. Let's just quickly formalize it. Who knows what might happen. All right, so this should be quick. So do no for leaving as it is. Yes for changing it. I think Eric already said he is abstaining from these ones. Anna, you're a no?
It's no from us, yeah.
Yep. Shargon?
Sorry, I was checking something with Jimmy.
Yeah, a no to changing it, or yes?
Maximum.
This is for max. Yes, max transaction per block. Yes.
You want to change it? You want to reduce it?
Yeah, we want to reduce it.
Okay.
Could you please explain why do you want to reduce it?
Because if we have more blocks per seconds, in terms of security, it's better to reduce it. If we have to increase it later, we can increase it later.
Okay, so you just want to keep it proportional, so that to check that everything is okay with the network.
Yeah. Currently, it's not needed because we don't have this level of transactions. So it's better to reduce it to avoid any troubles with this change. When the network is more used with these 3 second times, maybe we can reboot and increase it when we need it. But if we don't need it, it's better to have a lower value, I think.
Okay.
Well,
So when was the last time that we have a block with 200 transactions? So for me, we have right now a transaction, 200 transactions in our block. Probably it will be an attack.
I see. So your reasoning is okay. It's because I was looking at. Oh, Eric, you want to say something? Go for it, mate.
I will change to yes too.
Okay, change to yes. Yeah, because I was looking at it from the perspective of we don't hit that anyway, so what does it matter? But you're saying is that if we do hit it, the only reason we would hit it is because someone's attacking the network, and so by having it shorter, smaller is a protection mechanism.
I think so. If we detect that we increase the users and we increase our transactions per block, and we know that it's legally transactions, why we don't want to increase it. But currently, I prefer to have a lower value until we ensure that it's secure.
Yeah.
When I said I is we, because I took it with Belani, and it's also his opinion.
Okay. Anna?
Let me just add that right now, max transactions per block for a testnet is 5,000 transactions. So a testnet, as you know, is running with 3 second blocks, and well, it's kind of stable right now, and it was stable. So just to add.
Okay. All right. So Jimmy?
Yes.
Yes. Alibaba has in here that
Yes.
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 Tyler, I guess you're yes.
Yes.
I'm a yes, but I'm honestly somewhat indifferent. My reasoning for being yes is aligned with reprices on this, where it doesn't hurt to move one thing. Like
Yeah.
we're not gaining anything by leaving it. Like we can just move it so it's scaled. We can verify it, and then we can scale it up later. I think there's some marketing value in having a 3-second block time narrative and then having a TPS narrative as being separate, distinct things instead of bundling them all together. That's like a secondary benefit of doing it this way.
Dylan, do you have any strong feelings about this?
I'm kind of aligned with Tyler and generally aligned with everyone else who's voted yes.
Yeah, I feel the same. I think Shargon makes a good point. Like, the reason we're going to get this, if we hit this, it's going to be an attack, like at least in the short term. So
it would be nice to see someone trying to use our network more than it already is.
All right, hash key.
We will say yes.
Yes.
Yep. Switcher is not here. Alibaba. Axe Labs.
Yes.
He sounds so certain of himself. Flamingo, I'm not sure what their stance was on this. I'm not sure if they specifically said in the channel. Maybe I'll skip them for the moment. McNeil Gorgon is not here. Infstones.
I was go with no, but I guess it's just not going to change anything here. As I see someone else.
Doesn't matter. Every opinion counts, even if it's you inspire others to speak up if they need encouragement to go against the current. Everstake.
Support, yes.
Binance and Neoline.
Yes.
Cool. All right. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this one has enough to pass as well. Congratulations, guys. You voted for something else. All right. So can we just package it? Well, not package it. Well, I don't know. Should we do it all in the same transaction as the other one, or should we do them as two separate transactions?
Is it the same voting body?
That's right. It's not the same voting body. Good point. So this will have to be a second one. So
after, ideally, I don't know that it's going to matter. We won't notice.
Yeah. Well, let's do an all so Jimmy and Shargon don't have to send do two trips of having it.
If we put them up at the same time and then just have everybody knock them out.
Yeah. So we'll just do it on the same schedule.
Guys, let me just note that max transactions per block is not it's just node setting. You cannot vote for it. You just have to update your nodes with the new configuration. So we just need to change the config. Yeah.
Okay, so there's no voting.
So the consensus nodes respective. Handle it.
Sorry, say that again.
The consensus nodes are.
Ando ganas de decir. Porque ha dicho Fede, yo prefiero verificar el número de transacciones por si acaso hay un ataque, ¿no? Y me ha dado decir, bueno, si hay un ataque, por lo menos se usa para algo. Aunque sea para un ataque.
Dean, can you just mute him?
I don't have the option to. I can boot him. All right, he's quiet now. Tyler, what were you saying?
So we need to have the consensus nodes update, which is also a good process for us to figure out how to coordinate.
Okay, so I need to be clear. We all need to be clear. Do we all need to go and need to update this setting in our node, or do just the consensus nodes have to do that? I know we all do because we could all be put into consensus, but functionally speaking,
I mean, I think just the consensus nodes for it to happen on mainnet, right? Since they're the ones that are choosing what goes in the blocks.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I think only consensus nodes will actually for this.
Okay.
Ideally, we would update the configuration file in the repo as well, so it's a default. It's lockstep, but
Okay, so I'm just, how do we manage? I mean, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 consensus nodes in the call. So shall we just, do they need to coordinate together to have it done? Like, does it need to be done all at the same time or one at a time?
But this value doesn't really matter because even if you change it, it won't affect any thing at all right now, or even in the future. So this is
Only
nothing.
the view will
later.
be changed if you have a different number than mine and we raise this number. I will change the view. So I think that we can do it separately.
Can do it what?
this is really only going to be an issue. This is only an issue if we have enough transactions to hit that threshold, right?
It's something that currently can happen right now. Our node can have a different value than the NSPCC value, but if they try to sync a block with 1,000 transactions, my node will want to change the view, but it's something that we should agree, but some nodes can have a different value.
It's only an issue with synchronization if the blocks are being actually saturated. Then it'll trigger view changes. Otherwise, like with the current network state, everybody can do it async independently, and it's okay.
So it's really up to everyone to update their own node. We can't, like,
yes,
no one can enforce it. So everyone, it's your own responsibility. I guess next time we have a council meeting, we'll do a roll call and say, did you do this?
We'll know pretty quickly if people did or not, though. The next time somebody, like, if we do an activation or something and we have to run thousands of transactions, we'll see who updated it pretty quickly, I guess, because there'll be view changes.
Yep. Okay. Anna?
Well, but I think that we still better to agree on a specific date or a specific range of dates when consensus nodes are supposed to update their settings, because well, change views are always kind of not desired thing.
Yeah, I think the most important thing.
Can
we? Yeah, so I would put that we have 5 consensus nodes here. Like, they're the ones that definitely 100% need to have it all changed. We all need to do it, right? But functionally speaking, the consensus nodes are the ones processing transactions. So amongst your 5 groups and then bringing in NGD, I'd put it to you guys to choose a time. So what do you guys think?
I think I'd like to propose aligning it on the same schedule as the others, the votes, in 2 weeks.
But I think Anna's saying she wants to try and have it all at the same time, not by a certain date. Excuse me. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm providing
exactly.
to make the proposal.
Yeah, not exactly the same time, but just like probably a specific day, like to update all nodes within a day or within like a couple of days, just to be aligned. And we, of course, need at least to notify NGD nodes because yeah, they also have consensus nodes.
What about just Anna handles this and guide us through this?
So
like Anna set up a time. I mean, what about Anna handle this and set a timeline for us and tell us when to do it or something like that?
Okay.
So then I will contact everyone.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. So I know everybody's probably dying to get off. There's one more thing, and that is the topic of the white listed contracts. So we decided we were not going to do that as part of the path to get to the Gorgon hard fork, but that doesn't mean whitelisting contracts is off the table altogether, right? Flamingo have been very clear about their need to reduce fees for their platform to survive. I understand that there needs to be a review process of the contracts. So I just like to have a very short discussion now about how we address that. So do we want them, and I know there are other projects that might want this as well, but let's be honest, the main issue here is Flamingo. Do we want them to propose certain contracts for review? And after, Red for Sec or someone has reviewed those contracts, we come and vote on them? What do we want that process to look like? And I guess the other thing that we really need to know, probably from your perspective, Shargon, is how much work is involved in this review. Is it a matter of going, they've got this method in here, that's going to be a problem, or is it running optimizations and tests and all kinds of things? It's like I as someone who doesn't do security reviews or write smart contracts, I have no frame of reference into how long it takes someone to look at a contract and go, is this safe for whitelisting or not?
Flamingo have already a security audit. I should check if all the contracts was audited, but my concern is not more the security. I think it's secure, but when this audit was made, we don't thought about it will be free executed. So it should be checked again, the methods that we will want to whitelist, because we need to know that it will be free in order to say that it's secure.
Right, but what I'm asking you is, like, I understand they've had a security audit. This is a different type of audit. What I'm asking is, like, can you give us a sense? Because I don't want to of how much work is involved in checking if it's safe for the whitelisting itself. Because I don't want to stay here and go, all right, Red for Sec are going to do the audit, and then Flamingo come to you with 40 contracts, and each contract's going to take you a week's worth of work. I have no frame of reference in how much work is in that. So can you speak to that at all? Like, if they came to you with 10 contracts now and they said, these are the ones we want whitelisted.
I think first we should have a kind of inventory of which methods we want to whitelist, because the whitelist works by method. So we need to know which method will be whitelisted. Also, the tokens that they use must be whitelisted, because you can whitelist Flamingo, but if you don't whitelist the exchange in Neo, you will pay for it. So there are intermediary contracts that you also need to whitelist.
I see.
So probably first we need to do an inventory.
Okay. Tyler, you got your hand up?
Yeah, I'm just a lot of concerns about the attack surface area on this. I'm worried about the contract update being malicious. I want to understand what we're specifically talking about here with whitelisting. We're saying free, right? Like system execution fee factor 0 for these methods, which would effectively mean that any of the methods that we whitelist can be used in a DOS attack. Is that accurate?
If you whitelist, if you grade the contract, all the methods that was whitelisted are removed. So it's something also to consider. If Flamingo do any upgrade, we need to sync again the whitelist, because it's removed automatically.
But even in an honest player scenario, like if one method on Flamingo is whitelisted, it makes it free. Anybody that calls that method can call it 100,000 times and lock a node up. Is that accurate?
No, because only is free the execution inside the Flamingo context. So if Flamingo call Neo, this call inside Neo, you pay for it. So also
that's fine.
But also the for, you made a for each or for, and try to call 1,000 times. Each iteration you pay for it, but when you enter in this method, it's free. So it's not totally free, the execution, because the script that is not whitelisted is not free. Only is free the script that is inside the method that was whitelisted. Example, is you call Flamingo, and Flamingo call Neo, and also call gas token, but Neo and gas token is not whitelisted, you will pay for the execution of Neo and gas.
I understand that, but what we're saying is that we're falling back on contract calls in order to create, to have a security system, right? Like if there's a fully encapsulated method within a Flamingo contract and it gets whitelisted, it can be used to DOS a node.
That's why I think first we need an inventory. First we need to know which are the methods that are more expensive in this case in Flamingo, because probably you only need to whitelist 1, 2, or 3 methods, but not the main core of Flamingo. And if you whitelist this, not sure, when they iterate about the tree, maybe only whitelisted this method, you are reducing 1,000 times the price of Flamingo. Not sure, but for me, the case is not make it free case when you call Flamingo. It's make it cheaper.
I understand the intent. I'm concerned about falling back on contract calls to take advantage of that, to enforce security. That's all. Like if we whitelist methods with entry points, for example, like it's going to make those calls free. So
no,
I can build transactions. If it doesn't have any contract calls, it would be free though, right?
No, it won't free. Is you find a kind of reentrancy, or you use Flamingo contract, Flamingo method for entry point, and this entry point calls your contract. The second call is not free.
Right, but I'll use a toy model here. If I have a function that just does 1 + 1, right?
Yeah.
And it's listed in manifest, and I call that 100 million times, it will be free all 100 million times.
Not.
Is that correct?
Not exactly, because all this for when you iterate and you increase your x equal 1, you call the method of 1 + 1. It only will be free 1 + 1, but all the iterations is outside the context, so all the iteration will be paid.
I think we can discuss it offline.
Okay. So it sounds like the process has to be, we need Flamingo to bring to you, Shargon. I'm just volunteering you for work here because you're the security guy, you're the audit guy. A list of all the methods that they would like whitelisted. A review needs to happen either by Red4Sec or somehow of those methods to determine which of them are safe and practical to whitelist. And then that group needs to then be brought to us as a council to vote on whitelisting them, and then we have to implement that.
we can do it, but we need the inventory. So I think that if Flamingo should make an inventory of which method they want to whitelist, and according to this inventory, we can do it and check if it's safe.
Okay. Okay, so I mean, they're going to see this. We can tell them in the channel as well. We need to get that from them, and that will be next steps on that. Okay, I think that brings us to the end. Does everybody feel satisfied that? Oh, Anna's got a hand up. Yep.
Yeah, I just saw the message in the chat. Eric told that all committee notes need to update the max transactions per block configuration, and he is right. Yeah, so it's not only console, it's committee notes.
Okay, all of us.
Yeah.
Got it. But I'm still gonna leave that on your plate to orchestrate.
Yeah, sure.
You
Yeah.
can herd the sheep. We all got to take turns at doing the cat herding, sheep herding. I don't know, whatever metaphor you want to use. Okay.
So we also had one last topic, I thought, from your agenda. It was about max volatile block increment.
Oh, sorry, I was under the impression we decided that we were not going to do that because of what's Shargon.
Yeah, okay, we also okay.
Yeah, okay, cool. So does everybody feel like we've achieved these outcomes for the meeting? Yeah.
I would even say that this was in terms of decision making, is the most successful Constant Core meeting that we ever had.
Well, we also made a bunch of votes at Centerpoint in Singapore, and a lot of those didn't come to fruition too. So I'm not going to pat ourselves on the back too hard, but I do agree that perhaps this is a better format for council meetings. The problem is we don't always have things to vote on, right? We should be doing other stuff outside of just voting on stuff too. But
I just want to hold us to accountable, because this is the third time we voted on stuff and walked away with people doing anything. And the only folks who worked on anything were Flamingo, and they're not even here.
Yeah.
So I don't think we should be congratulating ourselves at all.
Yeah, I don't want to get too. I don't think we deserve any congratulations, guys. Based on
Zero. This is the third time we voted on all of these things.
So let's just make sure we follow through this time. And obviously, there's a lot of other stuff going on in the ecosystem right now that we need to, give our feedback and thoughts on. I'm not in charge. I'm not, I have no more authority than any one of you guys here. But for whatever it's worth, I encourage everybody to go out on the proposals that are out there right now from governance and contribute to those conversations. Right? It needs leaders from the community. It needs people who've been here a long time, people who, have skinned their knees for Neo to go out and say what they think. Sitting back and waiting for others to talk is not helpful. So just be brave enough to go out and do that. We need it. So that's my thing I think I want to say on this.
And another thing I want to say is, when you guys are done with the tasks you're done with, let me know. We want to cover this. You worked hard, and you want people to know what you did. Don't just let the work that you've done fall into the banals of Neo history. Like, reach out to me and let me know. Like, I've done what we did, what I was asked to do in the council meeting, so that we can write an article and cover you, and frankly give you the props and the diligence for doing the work that you did. It can feel very disheartening when you work really hard and nobody sees what you're working on. And that's one of the reasons why we're here at Neo News today. And I feel like people just need to be remembered that we're here to tell your story. So the hard work that you do shouldn't go unnoticed. And don't be afraid to DM me and show what you did. Because I think that we've also forgotten that a lot of time and energy goes into pulling these things off, and not very many people outside are willing to look for the story and kind of give you your moment to shine. So please use this as that resource. We want to tell your story, and we want to show the hard work that you did.
Yeah. Does anybody else want to leave any final thoughts before we close off? Okay.
Thank you, Dean, for coordinating and moderating also. I think the moderation is very helpful. I don't think this would be happening without like a formal moderator putting this together.
It's all good. You're welcome. All right. Well, sounds like that's it. So I'm going to go to bed, and I wish the rest of you, whatever your time zone, a good day, a good evening, a good morning, a good Monday. Take it easy. Hooroo.
Everyone, thanks.
Thank you, guys. Thanks,
Thank
Dean.
you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, thank you guys. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye
Thank you,
bye.
guys.
Take care.